Hey everyone, Happy New Year. Welcome back to Golden Papery. We are going to get started with planning our January 2026 week one. And so technically, January started last week, but this is the first official week where January is at the beginning of Monday. And so that's what we're doing. But I wanted to quickly show you my planner. This is the new planner cover that I got from Christina Loves Planning, and I'll make sure to link that product in the description. But it's a beautiful, luxurious purple planner cover that they had on their website, and I thought it was lovely. And I went ahead and did some dividers for or top dividers on my planner and then printed out some dashboards for each divider that I have in my planner. So this is still using the A5 size. I didn't change anything aside from switching over to a new planner cover because I had not really purchased a new one since last year, which is I was using the Steel Classics planner, and I didn't really like the binder itself. And so this one is very nice, feels very sturdy. It's actually quite thick. That was something that kind of threw me off because of the zipper that's on the inside of the planner cover. And then also just the thickness of the material itself. And the only issue that I have with this as well, aside from the thickness, right? Because I feel like you can't really put more in your planner, is the position of the pen slot. So I have to find a new pen to be able to fit it. So that's just my only quirks with this planner. But aside from that, it's really beautiful. I like that I went with the purple this year because I was able to kind of use that as my theme for this year. And so this is something that I'll be using for the remainder of this month as I continue to kind of switch things out, add more inserts. But aside from that, it's beautiful and I can't wait to continue using this one. So now that everything's switched out, I am going to get started with planning my week. And so for this first part, I'm going to get over to my monthly section and I'm going to just update the monthly insert. I only have January and February in this planner, and that's intentional. I don't like to plan so many months ahead because all of that stuff I do in my Google Calendar. So you guys know that I work in IT, I work on a business intelligence team, and this A5 planner is going to be used primarily for work, but I'm mixing in a little bit of like family, some health trackers that I want to keep my eyes on, and then also some projects. So there's a section for work, a section for family and health, my goals, and then also for the projects that I have under me. So for this month, I don't have too many things going on. I'm still on that high priority project for this month, basically up until March. So that is the reason why a lot of my calendar is just cleared out. I'm only taking necessary meetings that are for like updates or any Power BI reports that I have collaboration with other stakeholders. So I ended up using a different monthly template because I didn't like the last one that I had. Although there wasn't anything wrong with it, I just preferred this one. And I may not even update the full month because I want to go back and see what monthly habit tracking I want to keep track of as far as work related items, and I want to be very intentional with that. So I haven't done like my monthly reset for work yet, and so I'm going to leave some of that blank. But I'm adding in just the basic meetings that I have. I do have a couple of group meetings that we do on a monthly basis, so I'll be joining those. And then at the bottom, I'm going to do like a to-do section, which only requires monthly tasks. And so there are two reports that I do have to manually update on the data warehouse. And then I'll just continue adding any monthly tasks that come up. And then on the other side, I'm going to add some important events that are related to not only work, but also any days off that I'll be doing for this month. And then any days off, or not days off, but any days where school will be off, because I need to make sure that I plan accordingly and don't schedule too many meetings on that day or possibly request off, or if there are any like early release days, which sometimes that does happen, I have to also clear my schedule so that I can get to the bus stop on time. So lots of things happening as a work from home mom. It is always a fun time trying to schedule all of the things. And then, as you guys know, my son also has a lot of medical appointments, a lot of therapies, and so I have to keep track of all of that on a shared Google Calendar with my husband and family. But also, those appointments, I don't add them here. Not unless if it's a day that I will have to travel to Houston and I have to request off, but the therapy appointments, any follow-up doctor appointments that are local, and I say local, but really we still have to travel an hour to those appointments, will be on the appointments section, which is the reason why I ended up doing a top divider for just appointments, because that's a quick little reference that I can go in and just kind of check mark off any that, have already happened, or I need to modify or reschedule any that come up. So nothing new from what I did in last week's video, aside from just the difference in the monthly insert, and then rearranging just some of the planner inserts that I'll be using for the rest of this month. And I say month because as the months go by, you always want to try to adapt and modify what you have in your planner, especially to what your life is currently at. And so, one of the best things that I have always mentioned about A5 planners, and it's the reason why I continue to come back to an A5, is because you can just be so flexible with your planner. Print out a new template, print out anything that you need, or purchase a planner insert and add them in your binder. And that's something that I really like about this type of setup. So, this is the monthly. We're going to go ahead and schedule out the weekly, which I was able to use my other printer that was able to do front and back printing. So I was able to fix that. I ended up using my paper clip to kind of clip last week's schedule, because I did schedule for last week, but I just didn't record that video. And then I started off a new planner insert with the same template. Nothing new. This is still the same from last couple of videos, but I'm going to schedule the weekly, and you can see here that I already made a boo-boo. I ended up putting January 5th through January 18, and that was because I was looking at my calendar at the same time that I was writing it down, and I had my calendar for next week. So apologies, but that is the reason why we always keep our whiteout available. For this week, I am resetting with work. I need to kind of go back and check in on all of the projects that I have, see what projects I need to close out, see which need to be updated. I did get a couple of emails over the weekend and this morning about projects that are going to go live, and they wanted to make some last minute adjustments. And even though, as a developer and analytics engineer, I am always working on this main project, I still have to keep track of all the other projects that come up or that are in progress. So we always want to keep things moving, nothing to be out of the ordinary here, and always have these stakeholders happy. So For the top section, I've been using this to add in my meetings or any appointments and any home slash family events that I need to just keep in mind. And so for this week, my son does have 2 therapy appointments. So I'm going to highlight those on Tuesday and Friday. And that is so in case if they call me up or the daycare has any issues, I can just be available to answer any phone calls, even if I do have meetings scheduled for that day. So I always put them in my work calendar too, so that if things come up, my manager has also has access to that calendar and he knows why I'm out or, unavailable for that time. But for the bottom section, I'm still using the same tasks or habit tracking for work. I'm still going to be updating my Jira board on a daily basis. I'm going to be reviewing the Power BI monitoring dashboard, and that's just the internal dashboard that Microsoft has on their Power BI service. And then we designed a watcher dashboard that monitors any data warehouse tables and databases. And so I also have some alerts that we built out to notify stakeholders if we see any issues. And then I do have my fresh desk tickets that I manage, so I'll have to review those and then also walk my 1 to 2 miles. And so here for the to-do section, I don't have any high priority items aside from just that main project that I need to send over an email on, but most of that stuff has already been finalized. I just need to send it off and continue updating as we go through. But this is the weekly, and I'm just adjusting my view so you can see all the nice um, setup that I have here. But everything is always on my desk. The stickers, my tweezers to pull out the stickers, my highlighters, my pen, just everything so that I can focus while I'm planning my week and my month. So I'm just going to add in a couple of stickers, and a lot of these are from Coffee Monsters Co., Delicate Theory, and then some that I got off from Etsy. And then I started to bring back the Kina print stickers because they're absolutely amazing. I love the kawaii look and feel to it. And honestly, it's feeling like one of those weeks. I want to be just cutesy and just playful this week, but honestly, this year too, which is why I ended up getting a purple planner cover because it just makes me feel happy knowing there's a little bit of color. This past probably 2 years, I've been keeping with like a very black or beige look and feel. And I feel like this year, I just want to be playful and mindful while I reset and plan. So that is what we have here. But in all honesty, I am really grateful that I still have so many planner supplies in my inventory, and I don't need to spend a lot of money to be able to get the A5 planner that I desire. And a lot of these planner inserts, I get from Etsy. I just print them out. And so it can be quite affordable when you are, saving in this conscious way and not, being too nitty gritty about, I need these materials to be able to plan. That's the great thing about planning. So I will mention though that I should be recording a second video to show you guys the Christina Loves Planning cash savings binder because I feel like that one was the priciest thing that I got for Christmas for myself this year, or technically I asked my husband to get it for me, but I made the purchase. But aside from that, that was the only expensive item that I did buy. And I just have very big goals when it comes to finance this year with so many projects that we have at home. So that is the reason why, and I'll make sure to link that video once it becomes available. But I'm using the Kina Prints stickers here, like I mentioned. I think they're beautiful. I think they're nice, and it really makes the page pop up. So I'm going to put this now in my planner and just continue on for the week. There are some other items that I need to update, like my challenges and my trackers. So, well, one, I have to update the appointment. So let me actually get to that first. But in my appointments, I waited to do the January appointments because I didn't have all the therapists message me yet until today. So I was able to get those in, and I still messed it up, but it's okay. That is, that this is just, it's just pen and paper. There's nothing wrong with getting things messy. And, it's not always going to be as organized as you'd like to, do it, but it's okay. So I'm adding here the ECI appointments for OT, PT, and our case manager, and then also any family doctor appointments. And so I typically only add my kiddos' appointments. Any doctor appointments that my husband has, like he manages that on his own, but he does add them in our shared calendar. So I'm always able to see if he's going to be unavailable, like if I need him to pick up the kids from school or, any other reason. So, and it's like I said, it's also important for us to have that shared calendar because if we need to go out of town, like for the Houston appointments, he knows not to schedule on those days. But aside from that, I don't handle those appointments. And then for my work, I'm just going to update the project management that I have for this high priority. So I was able to finish out the formulas for some of the other Power BI reports and then send out those documents via email to those stakeholders. And then I couldn't find my green highlighter, which sucks, but it just goes like that sometimes. So I use the pink highlighting. But this has already been kind of finalized. I don't have anything that's pending for this project aside from scheduling out some check-ins and just confirm they have what they need. And then for my health trackers, I do a steps Garmin challenge, and in December, I'm just going to add in the steps that I had for the rest of December. But let's just say I tried my best. I ended up with a total of about 276,000 steps for December, which is still amazing because I did actually meet another Garmin challenge of getting 100,000 steps in the first 14 days of December. So that in itself was already successful, even though I didn't meet this one. But they still have the same challenge for January. So I'm going to do that one for January. And for December, I'm not upset with myself because I feel like I still did pretty good. And we have to be, aware that it's holidays, you are going to visit family. There were some days that we had travel, so we were driving for 4 hours or driving for 5 hours. And so I'm not like, I knew that it was going to be a difficult challenge for December. In January, though, we don't have that many out of town visits as far as I know. So I'm going to try to really push it during the work week so that I can get my steps in and then have a couple of extra if, I have some days that will not be able to meet it. But the first week of January, we were out of town. So that is the reason why my steps are a little bit low. And then the last one that I have here is a resolutions and goals checklist. So I'm going to fill this out on my own time and then share with you guys next week on the goals that I have for this year. And I'll make sure to also share that template in case if you guys want to get that printed out. But aside from that, that is it. I welcome the very best of this new year to you all, and may 2026 be the very best ever. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.